So this time we're going to talk about long division of polynomials. Okay, so we're going to go through a few examples here. But first we're going to talk about the process in which we need to go over to do these. So the steps we're going to follow is divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. Okay, the acronym that I know some people have used in like Algebra 1 and 2, dad, mom, sister, brother, rover. Okay, so talking about family, right? So do long division of polynomials is that little acronym. So we'll keep that up there in the corner so we can go through this. So if you're given a problem like this, don't let it scare you, right? We're just going to worry about the numbers. And again, you got to think about the rules of exponents to do this. So if we're going to take 6x and divide it into that long polynomial there, let's worry about the first number. That's all we need to worry about. So that 18x to the fourth. So first off, we need to see how many times 6 will go into 18. So I'm going to go with 3. And then we still have an x with it, right? Well, x, okay. Well, if we just did this division part, right? We do the multiply. So 6 times 3 gives us 18. With an x times x, you add the exponents. This is understood 1 here. So that'd be 1 plus 1 is 2. Well, we need it to go to 4. So we need 1 to add to 3 to give us 4, right? So 6x times 3x to the third will give us 18x to the fourth. Okay, and then we're going to subtract. That goes away. And we're going to bring down. Then we'll bring down this guy. So we're going to bring down negative 24x to the third. Well, 6 times 4 will give me 24, but it needs to be a negative. So say negative 4. So negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. And then it'd be x to the third. We'll have x to the 1 here. And we're going to add exponents. So we need to have x squared, because x to the first times x to the second will give me x to the third. So therefore, that should give me negative 24x to the third. And luckily, those cancel out all the way as well. And then we're left with, we're going to bring down this 6x squared. Well, and for this one, now 6 goes into 6 one time and is a positive, so positive, and 6 times 1, right? So just put a 1 right there so we know it's a 1. Now we need to have x. If you go into x squared, we need to just have another x. It's x to the first power times x to the first power give me 2. So x times x give me x squared. That works out. So we have 1 times 6 gives me 6. X times x gives me x squared. Those guys will go away as well. Just subtract those. And then we're going to bring down the negative 12x. So negative 12x. And with this one, 6 goes into negative 12. Well, it should go in there 2 times, right? But it's a negative. So we have a negative 2. Because negative 2 times 6 gives me a negative 12. And then I don't need anything else to go with it because it already has an x on the 6. So I don't need anything to go up here on this 2. So this 2 just needs to stay by itself. So we're simply going to say, well, it gives us negative 12x. Now again, I missed it on the step here on the negative 24. But in which case this is subtracting, right? That's why it went away. This turned into a positive that went away. So in other words, if we subtracted this guy, that makes negative a positive. So therefore, we get negative 12x plus 12x. So those guys would go away and we'd left with 0. So our answer is 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus x minus 2. All right, let's do another example. So in this one, it's a little bit longer, right? We have a polynomial in front. We don't just have a single variable with an exponent or anything like that. We have a polynomial up here and a polynomial that we're going to divide into. With these, only worry about the first digits here with this, all right? So the first values in these polynomials, which you got to worry about with. Okay, so we're just look at 2x and see what goes into 6x squared. So 6 divided by 2, well, you should get 3, right? So we're going to get a 3, because 3 times 2 is 6. And then we need also to be with this x, right? We want x squared. Well, x times x will give me x squared because they're both to the power of 1, right? So x to the first power times x to the first power. That will give me x squared. Now we're not done with that because we also have this 1 here. So now you're going to take this 3x times 1. So as you can see, we took 3x times 2x. That gave us 6x squared. 3x times 1 gives us plus 3x. Now this is where you got to be careful and make sure to do subtraction in this case. That's going to change a few things. When you subtract that, again, that's going to make this positive 6x squared turn negative, and it's going to make this positive 3x turn into negative as well. So therefore, these will go away to 0. And then you're left with 7x minus 3x. So that would give you 4x. Okay, positive 4x. And then we're going to bring down the 2 plus 2. Again, we're just going to look at these first values here that we have here. Okay, so 2 goes into 4 2 times. So plus 2. Okay, so with that, 2 times 2x should give us 4x. And then 2 times 1 should give us a positive 2. And then if we subtract this entire polynomial, again, it's going to change the sign inside of there. This would go positive, this will become a negative, and then this will become, instead of a positive 2, a minus 2. As to where the 4x's will go away, and so will the 2's. So therefore, we're left with a 0 overall. And our answer for this is 3x plus 2. So again, we're just following the steps. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. Let's do another one real quick. Let's see here. If you're to see one like this, again, there's nothing to be scared of. Just rewrite it so it makes sense. You take x squared plus 1 and divide by, in this case, you're going to take 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. Okay? So now we're going to take, again, we're going to just look at our first values here. So x squared goes into 3x cubed. Well, there is an understood 1 in front of that x squared. So how many times does 1 go into number 3? Well, it goes in there 3 times. Okay, so we got then we need to go from x squared, we need to go x cubed. So we should add an x here. So 3x times 1x squared will give you a 3x cubed. And then you still got to multiply the 3x times a positive 1. So 3x times 1 should give you a plus 3x. But don't write this in the wrong spot here, right? So with this, we need to go ahead. I'm going to put it over here so we know that we got 3x over here plus 3x there, okay? Parentheses around this, and we'll put subtract, right? So in this case, we're going to simply say we've got this minus sign outside the bottom part here is going to turn to positive. Positive, and it's going to make this negative. It's going to turn this positive into a negative 3x. So now, 3x cubes go away. Let's bring down the minus 2x squared. Let's go ahead and bring down, let's see, 7x minus 3x gives us plus 4x. Okay, and we'll stop right there and see what we got to do next. So with this one, now we know we've got, we'll bring all of it, -4. So now we're going to look again. Looking at this first setup here, -2x squared. And how many times does x squared go into that? Well, there's a 1 there, so we know we need to take a -2, and that would give us a -2x squared, because -2 times x squared will give you a -2x squared. But then we still have a -2 times a 1, okay? So -2 times a +1 gives you -2. -2. Well, now let's go ahead and subtract those. Well, if we put these around there, subtract, again, that's going to change this to a positive, change this to a positive, and this one to a positive. So we're going to be left with 2x squared go away. We'll bring down the 4x. And we're going to say -4 plus 2 will give us a -2. Well, now we're left with a little bit of a remainder here, right? Because x squared cannot go into just a 4x. So when you see something like that, you're done with the problem. Now you just need to write it out properly, right? Sorry, I wanted to make this a little bit shorter here, so it's not too long. So the actual answer in for this one is 3x minus 2, and then we're still got positive 4x minus 2, but that is still being divided by x squared plus 1. So you can put that in parentheses like that if you'd like. It's a bit easier. So again, you have 3x minus 2 plus 4x minus 2 divided by x plus 1. That still needed to be divided in there, but we don't know the values of x, so we can't divide any further than that for the polynomial's sake. So the exact answer is this guy right there. Again, when you have anything left over, you take whatever sign the value is out here. So that's a positive 4x minus 2. So therefore, I got a plus 4x minus 2 divided by what we're still dividing by, x squared plus 1. Okay? We'll do one more example here. Let's see what we got. So another thing too, let's say, again, to also disregard, just realize this is the square root sign. So disregard this square, this is division sign, I apologize. So this is going to say b plus 2 dividing into this polynomial. Well, it could still be written as that long polynomial there divided by the b plus 2. Either way means the same thing. Again, if you see it like this on the bottom, if you see it like this, then just write it out like we've been dealing with, like up top. So we'll simply say we got b plus 2 dividing into 7b3 plus 12b squared minus 10b minus 12. Now, one other thing too, before we move on with this one, if, let's say, we were missing one of the exponents here that's descending. Let's say we were missing this whole thing right here. Let's say this actually was dividing into just, let's say this one was gone all together, and we just had 7b cubed minus 10b minus 12. Minus 10b minus 12. To ensure that you have proper notation of what to divide into, you can simply plug in the exponent here that you're going into, so that way it makes sense of what you're dealing with and how to divide into this. So to do that, if you're missing that, you would simply say plus 0b squared minus 10b minus 12. And therefore, that would be a placeholder in there to understand what else to divide into moving forward. And I'll show you what we mean here. So in this case, let's do this problem with a 0 bx. So let's act like, in this case, that this plus 12b squared went away. So again, we're going to look at the front values. So we have 1b. How many times does it go in the 7b cubed? Well, we're going to have a 7, because 1 times 7 gives us 7. And then b times b squared gives us b cubed. And then 7 times b squared, or 7b squared times 2 will give us positive 14b squared. Well, if we didn't have a b squared initially in the problem, if that was gone, we wouldn't know what to subtract it from. So that's why we put a 0 right here. So now, when you go through and subtract, again, it would make that a negative. I'm sorry, let's go ahead and just put it like this. That would make this turn positive. This turns into negative 7b cubed. This turns into minus 14b squared. So then when we get the b cubes will go away, and then we'll be left with a negative 14b squared, okay? And then we'd bring down the next ones, negative 10b minus 12. So now we would say, in this case, we would say b negative 14b squared. Again, that would be a negative 14. And then we'd say times b, because negative 14 times b, negative 14b times b will give you a negative 14b squared. And then negative 14b times a positive 2 would give you a negative 28b. Okay, so then again, if we subtract this and make this all go positive, so therefore these guys will go away, and we'd be left with positive 18b minus 12. So then we would get b will go into 18b, will go in there 18 times. And we just don't need to add anything else with that 18, because 18 times b will give you 18b. And then 18 times 2 will give you 36. Well, and if we subtract this, you would get, this turns positive, turns negative on that one, and then this one turns negative as well. So these guys go away, and we're left with negative 12 minus 36, so minus 48. Well, b plus 2 cannot go into minus 48, so our answer turns out to be 7b squared minus 14b plus 18 minus 48 divided by b plus 2. Again, we're just going to put the remainder, because we just had a remainder down here. We're just going to put the remainder on the end. So therefore, our overall answer is 7b squared minus 14b plus 18. All right, so hopefully that helps explain long division of polynomials. Again, take it slow and go through them step by step, and just write it out in the way that we've gone through, and I've shown you how to do this, and I'll work out every time. Again, just look at the first values of each one of the polynomials to go in for the division to start out with, divide into it, then multiply back out, subtract everything underneath, then bring all your next values down, and repeat the process until you've gotten to the last bit to where you either have a remainder or it works out and it comes down to 0 overall in the division. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.